Hi, I'm Melinda I, and welcome to the Good Karma Success Coach podcast. I'm an author, speaker, and success coach who helps women believe in themselves, build confidence, and take action. In 2009, my husband Ryan and I were laid off at the same time, and we moved to the Florida Keys without jobs, not knowing anyone, hardly any money, and we never even been here. But we made it. And now, not every day is sunshine and rainbows, but we're living our best lives. All along in our journey, I've always said that someday when we get our shit together, we will help others. So each week, my intent is to be relatable and bring you tactical tips, tools, share my learnings and stories that can help inspire or transform you wherever you are in your career or general life and make an impact. I strongly believe that if I can do it, you can do it too. So what's stopping you? Hi, everyone, and welcome to this week's Good Karma Success Coach podcast. Thank you in advance for joining me. I am super pumped to record this episode because I'm going to be talking about my top 3 tips, book hindsights from self-publishing my first best-selling book, which is Confidence Mastery for Couples, Roadmap to a More Intimate Relationship, which is about to have its 1-year anniversary on March 9th. Yay! I remember this time of year last year was super crazy, super hectic. I had several different stressor points going on, and I was just really like, okay, let's get this show on the road. So it's fun to look back a year later after going through this whole process and then even going through another book, Life and Love Lessons, which came out in July, and really kind of going, okay, what would I share with the audience that is just really great hindsights, not only for book and self-publishing, but also just in general. I think this is actually going to become more of a general podcast in terms of the mindset and the different things, and you can apply this to other aspects of your business as an entrepreneur. So before we begin, I want to give a little sneak preview into episode 184, which will be next Sunday's episode. It will be an episode again with my 16-year-old niece, Sienna Krieg. Yay! I'm so excited. We have a full podcast planned. And to give that little sneak peek, one of the things we're going to be talking about is her soul introductory reading that she had with my very good friend, Deborah Lupien, who has been on this podcast many times before. And I gifted a soul reading to my niece for her 16th birthday intentionally because Deborah's readings are amazing. And it's something I wish I would have had at my niece's age, just to help with direction and guidance. Am I doing the right thing? Am I heading the right direction? Learning a little bit more about myself instead of doing that when I'm in my late 40s. Because I had a soul reading with Deborah 2 years ago and it was fabulous. And yes, that was my hindsight. God, I wish I would have had this when I was younger. So we're going to go over that, what Sienna took away from her reading with Deborah. And my hope is that you book a reading with Deborah for yourself and then even gift it to someone like I gifted it to Sienna. It's only $177, which is ridiculously affordable, in my opinion. And also, Ryan had one 2 years ago as well. So it's a good thing to do as a couple so you understand each other on that level. It was just really insightful and helpful to understand more about yourself. And the other thing Sienna and I are going to be talking about is how she is now on medium.com as a blogger. So yay! I've been on medium.com since right before COVID. Then I got off it. Now I'm back on it. And I just highly recommend it for anyone who's starting out in their writing journey or just wishes to write or build an audience or even just be a reader. The articles are amazing from so many writers. So we're going to share her blogging experience to date as well. So definitely, if you haven't listened to any of the podcasts yet with Sienna, circle back and look at those. Her name's always in the show title. And then stay tuned for next week. So I am very excited. We're going to record that episode tomorrow. So for today, again, this is in celebration of my 1-year anniversary of Confidence Mastery for Couples. I had released the book on March 9th because that was my brother's birthday. And if you know me, and especially if you've read any of my content, you know that my brother passed away tragically from blood clots when he was 29. And so I picked March 9th as in honor of my brother. So it will always obviously be easy for me to remember too, right? I can't seem to always remember our wedding anniversary, but I do remember my brother's birthday, and I miss him very much, and I know he's with me. So I also want to say that I appreciate everyone who has already bought a copy of my book. So whether you bought the paperback, the ebook, or the Audible, and yes, both of my books are on Audible, then and then reviewed them. I'm just really so grateful. Whenever I pull up Amazon and I see the reviews, I'm super grateful. So thank you in advance. And if you have not, what I did was put the ebook at 99 cents to have a celebration price for the ebook, and that price will continue through my birthday, which is April 7th. So a month of being at 99 cents. So definitely it's easy to read on your phone. And I appreciate you guys. So thank you so much. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Now, here are my 3 tips, hindsights. And I think what I'm going to share is going to be very different than what I've ever heard out there from anyone else sharing book tips. Because if you know me, I like to go beyond basic and share things that not everyone talks about. That's why, honestly, one of the reasons why I do this podcast, because so many other podcasts, it might be the same old information that you've already heard. So I try to be a little different to add an extra flavor into your experience in this lifetime on this earth. So the first tip I'm going to share is about the title. It has been amazing, especially then when I have 2 books, to see people's faces, and I can kind of feel their energy that they don't feel they need a book about their relationship. And I can feel it with people. I can feel that they're like, oh, I don't need this. And that's fine. There's no judgment there. My point in sharing this is I picked the title of my book based on keyword research. So I spent a lot of time researching words, and there's different tools you can use to do that as a self-published author, or even, if writing a book in general, or any type of content, you can do some keyword research. And confidence was something that popped. Relationship, intimate, couples. So I encompassed those words into my title. And at the time when I started writing the book, I was in a writing program. I think it was 12 weeks. And we were bouncing our titles off of each other. And the woman, Laura, who ran the group, I think she has like 12 books out there. She's been on the podcast before. And so she had a lot of expertise, other people in the group had a lot of expertise, and everyone just kind of came to the conclusion that this was going to be a really great title, right? Confidence Mastery for Couples, Roadmap to a More Intimate Relationship. Wow. Like, that's great. The keywords are great, all the things. But as I've learned, number one, again, people don't think they need this book. I don't know. Maybe they do. Maybe they don't. My personal experience is that not every relationship is perfect. So don't live in a glass house, and don't think that everyone thinks everyone's relationships is perfect. I say that in the intro of this podcast. Not every day is sunshine and rainbows. It's true. Not every day is sunshine and rainbows. So the more that people open their eyes to the fact that, relationships are a lot of work, that's okay. Like, there's nothing wrong with you. Like, doesn't mean you're headed to divorce because you're having a bad day with your spouse or partner or boyfriend, girlfriend. It just means like you have to work through something. That's part of life. That's part of growing. So it's always kind of funny how people tend to buy my other book, Life and Love Lessons, How to Discover Confidence Through Your Spiritual Journey. They tend to buy it over the Confidence Mastery for Couples. And I do believe it's because of the title. It's kind of like they don't want to think that they may have a problem. They may, and it's not a problem. It's just life. Or they may not want someone to judge them if they're reading the book. Like, I think there's a lot packed into the title with people picking a book. And the funny thing is the book is really just my stories for the most part. I would say 60% is my stories. They're kind of sarcastic, funny. I have if you follow me, I'm kind of can be like a little bit, I don't want to say snarky, but just kind of real. And I talk about my dogs. I talk about so many different things. It's not like this hardcore self-help book. It's light. It's like a book you can read sitting by the pool. It's not like heavy. So at the end of the day, when I look back at my title and how I came to the title, I'm not saying the process was wrong. I'm just saying that in hindsight, I might have done it different. I might have picked a different title. I might have even picked a title after I wrote the book and see how it ended up. So it's just kind of an interesting hindsight. I'm not going to do anything about it now. Like it is what it is. It's fine. I plan on writing many books over the course of the rest of my life. So it's no big deal, but it just is kind of interesting. So I would say if you're thinking of writing a book, don't follow the advice per se that's out there about focusing solely on keywords. I would say maybe take a more balanced approach, see how you feel, see what the book ends up being about. Does the title really reflect the book? Give it some more thought than what I did, which was just following the paradigm of keyword research and creating a title from there. So that would be tip number 1. Very interesting. Number 2, and this is something that I wrote a chapter about in Life and Love Lessons, and that is that this book, Confidence Mastery for Couples, is a short read. It's not really long. It's not. So what ended up happening for me was when I received the actual book in my hands from Amazon for the first time, I flipped out. I was like, oh my God, it's not very big. And it's not. It's not very big. It's like, I don't know, 118 pages. And I really struggled with that. And I struggled with that because in the book world, it's so much talk about word count. Even as a writer, like if you write for a newspaper, often you get paid by word count. If you write on anything, it's normally a word count. And so when you go to write a book, people talk about word count and maybe how many word count you should try to do a day. It's always word count. But you don't really understand like how much word count goes into making the page count. Like no one really talks about that. And we didn't talk about that in my writing group that I was in, that I mentioned in the past tip. It wasn't talked. It was just about word count. And the writing coach had said, a baseline for word count for a book. And I hit that baseline. So I thought I was good. And then I got the book and went, and what ended up happening was some people wrote reviews. One made it to Amazon and one did not, mentioning that it was a quick read. And that made the trigger even worse. And I was like, oh my God, my book is too short. So what ended up happening, and again, I wrote about this in Life and Love Lessons because I think it's really important to do the work to get through your triggers, is I ended up going, okay, I love my book. Like, I love it. And I, quite frankly, like shorter content. I don't like long content. So I really had to sit with it, take some deep breaths, really get grounded. And I started looking at my bookshelf. And there are authors that are really great at writing really long books. such as Robert Greene. Okay, if you know who Robert Greene is, you're gonna like be shaking your head. Oh my God, his books are ginormous. His audios, I think, are like 17 hours long. I mean, it's crazy. There's so much in his books. So I have all his books. And then I also have all of Richard Dott's books. And if you know who Richard Dotts is, he writes about the law of attraction and manifestation. I own every single one of his books. His books are 100 pages long. They take like a couple hours sitting outside in the sunshine. They're like perfect for like an afternoon read. And the great thing is when you read something that's like a shorter read, you feel accomplished. You feel like, oh my God, I got through this book. Yay. It's like a total mental game versus like a Robert Greene book, for example, that you may never finish because it's so damn long, or it may take you forever to finish. So it's a different type of mindset and accomplishment around reading a shorter book versus a longer book. And then the Audible is only 3 hours. So it's perfect for a car drive. It's like perfect. So I ended up going, you know what? I actually am really, really proud and super excited that this book is not going to take people days and days and days to get through. It's a fun read. It's quick. It's easy. You're going to learn something. It's not super windy. You know, I'm not spending 3 hours talking about, you know, some little teeny thing and you're going, okay, like when's she going to get to the point, right? So I move fast. So I actually really, really came to appreciate that my book was a shorter read. What ended up happening that was even crazier is that I got bestseller for short reads. I didn't even know there was a category. So Amazon assigned me to the short reads category, and then I got bestseller. So it was just kind of hilarious how it worked out, was that it at first was a trigger. I end up moving through the trigger, going through the book launch, and then I end up getting bestseller in the short reads category. So it was kind of crazy. And I definitely also believe that shorter content is the trend. Like, let's face it, people are busy. They want to hear the scoop and move on with their day. And shorter content is just the way to go. So at the end of the day, I love my short book. There you go. I hope you do too. And the third one is about self-publishing. And I have touched on this before, and I'm going to be really straightforward. Often when someone asks me about my book, I say that I self-published this on my own without a third party or a hybrid. If you are not familiar with the book industry, with publishers, etc., you may not know what that means. So I'll just back up. Most people understand, you know, Hay House, Random House, Penguin House, all those big publishers. Those are for bigger names, people with bigger audiences. I've heard good and bad about working with publishers like that. I've definitely heard both sides of the story. That's not my point of this, but that's just to set the stage. And then people do tend to understand that self-publishing means you put it on Amazon by yourself. What a lot of people don't know is that, especially during COVID, a lot of companies were created that are either called a third party or a hybrid, and they're companies where you can either pay money or you can pay and have a royalty agreement. You know, there's different scenarios and different services they offer. And then they take your book and they put it on Amazon for you. And they pretty much guarantee you to get to bestseller. They know people, they have connections, they have an audience, they have some secret magic tricks. I don't know. But it's what it is. Why I like to say I didn't use a third party or a hybrid is because, you know what, I'm really proud that I did all of that myself and still got bestseller. So I got bestseller in 2 meditation categories and short reads, so 3, all by myself with my audience, which is not very big, I'll be honest. I haven't been doing this for a super long time like some other people. So I don't have gazillions of an audience, followers, friends, however you want to put it. So I am super proud of what I achieved in terms of like people reading the book and leaving reviews, and I'm super grateful. So I coach people and help people with doing the same thing. I can help you if you're looking to write a book and you want to save thousands of dollars and time and also have control of your KDP, which is a whole other aspect, and teach you how to do this yourself, especially if you're going to write more than one book. Like, why would you not learn? Why would you not take time and figure out how to do all the steps? Because honestly, if you hire a third party or a hybrid, they might not do all the steps for you. There's still going to be things you have to figure out. There's still going to be other expenses. So it's kind of like, you know what, if you're going to do it, like, do it, learn it. That's the best way. Then you know, and you have control. And you can get bestseller too. So it's kind of like these companies hold it over your head that it might be super hard, might take tons of time. They can get you to bestseller. And honestly, it wasn't that big of a deal. Yes, it took me time and some money to figure things out. And yes, there were some missteps, but those are things I learned and then I perfected for my second book. And I'm going to be writing a third book this year with my niece, Sienna. And now I coach people and help people with it for much less money. And then they learn and they have the control. So it's kind of fascinating. So I want people to know that you do not have to have a third party or a hybrid. You don't. So there's a lot of noise out there online, and it really can get in your head. It can really get in your head that, oh my God, I can't do this unless I do this and this and this. And then you start to do the research and you need $5,000, or someone wants some of your, wants a royalty agreement for, 10 years, whatever. There's so many different agreements and scenarios out there. $3,000, I've heard $10,000. And honestly, you don't need to do that. Like, you can put together a book much more affordably and then just hire someone to help you. Like, I do laser sessions for an hour at a time. They're very organized. They're very fast. I'm going to put a review in the show notes so you can read a review of someone that just launched her book, Nicole Russo DeSozo, and her book is Marry Yourself First. It's an amazing book. I helped her for an hour, helped her on the timelines, helped her on the things she needed to know. We had a couple follow-up emails after that. And you know what? She did it by herself and she was bestseller. She hit bestseller. I can't remember her categories, but she did it. It's a great book. Also, I highly recommend it. So put that in the show notes too. But in general, like, you can do it. So sometimes people get freaked out like, oh, I can't do this. And they get all in their head because of the marketing that's going on online. But no, you can do it. You need a little help. I'm not going to lie. You need a little bit of help, but it's not hard and it's not super expensive. And it's just help in terms of like, hey, here's some guidance. These are the things you need to know. You might have some questions. Here's some timeline help. And here you go. You'll be fine. I know you'll be fine. So a little bit of a confidence and peak performance coach is what I would say, which is totally my jam. But in general, you can do it. You can figure it out and you can do it. So it's just an amazing process. I highly recommend writing a book. I also wanted to do this podcast because a lot of people I'm finding don't really understand or know all the things that I can help you with, all the different aspects of being a success coach that I can help you with. And writing a book, writing in general, is just one of those things that as an entrepreneur, it really helps you build your business and is really a great tool in so many ways. Oh my gosh, it's been incredible experience and I'm so glad I've done it. And I can help you with those things too. So I hope you like this podcast in terms of just the different awareness around recognizing what's out there on social media and then knowing something different and going, you know what, that didn't really end up like I thought it was going to end up, and learning from that and then kind of pivoting and tweaking from there. So it's really important to have those hindsights, not get so glued to them that you can't move forward and create new experiences, but have the hindsights where you're like, you know what, maybe I would have done this differently, and how can I move forward in the best way from here? So it's a journey. It's totally a journey, but I hope you like these 3 tips. And again, I hope they're a little different than other tips you've heard out there from listening to podcasts about writing a book and self-publishing, because I like to share a little different stuff. So definitely reach out to me. Let me know what you think. If you have any questions, if you are interested in private one-on-one coaching, again, I do laser coaching for things like this. You can email me and tell me what you need, and we can go from there. Or as always, I have my 3-month private coaching plans. So until next week, thank you so much for listening. Be grateful, be curious, always be learning, and you know what? Have some fun too. Thanks.